You've been writing a lot about hedge fund deleveraging lately and index rebalancing, but I do wonder how you're thinking of inflation right now, given the print that we have coming up tomorrow.
Well, if you're looking for a good hedge on inflation, the equity market is certainly one area to focus on. Carl, if you think about the biggest surprise of 2021, it's been the fact that managements have been confronted with four headwinds. You had supply chain disruption, you had big jump in commodity prices, you had a difficulty in acquiring and finding talent and labor, and you had the variant, the Delta variant, now the Omicron variant. Despite all those things, Carl, you had profit margins rise in the first quarter, in the second quarter, and in the third quarter. So coming back to your question about inflation, the idea of pricing power is something that has been a discussion of every company, all different industries. They've been able to maintain margins, actually improve margins to all-time highs, pushing through those cost increases, as well as using automation and technology. So as a way of hedging against inflation, equities is providing that as an opportunity. And that's how I think about the inflation in the equity market right now.
And given the fact that your colleague Jan Hatzius does see inflation moderating or peaking in the next quarter or two, what will the margin story be for 2022, and hence the earnings story?
So our forecast would be that margins will increase by around 40 basis points. So, Carl, we're at record high level of margins right now, a little over 12%. Those will go up about almost 0.5% in the next year in our forecast. However, by 2023, margins will be coming down. And one of the other surprises this year, in addition to margins, all year long, I've talked to you on a number of occasions, and your colleagues, Morgan and David, the idea of tax increases. All year long, we were discussing the risk and the potential headwinds to corporate profits for next year. And now it turns out that whatever legislation may or may not be passed, we are expecting some legislation to pass, but the point is that the tax reform is likely to increase in 2023, not next year. So that headwind has sort of been removed from what people were looking at. What we were looking at, really, we got that clarification in some of the legislation that the House passed. Obviously, it's gone to the Senate now for some revisions. So the point being that margins likely to rise a little bit in 2022, but have a headwind in the next year. And to keep this in context, in the subject of technology, the sector has margins of 25%, twice as high as everywhere else. Lots more flexibility on the margin front. Coming back to your point about inflation, where do you have companies with flexibility to pass that through, or at least deal with their own situation with very high margins to start with? That's a good set of cards to start and be dealt a hand with that.